I'd like to welcome you all to the March Canyon Country Advisory Committee meeting. I think it's been all through the news about Japan and how devastating that has been to that country with the earthquake, the tsunami, and now the nuclear issue that they're going through. Some of the pictures that come from there are just amazing. I mean, you look at them and it's really hard to believe that they're real, that they haven't been put on by some movie prop. So I thought maybe we could just start tonight with just a moment of silence and in appreciation and support for those thousands of people that were killed, injured. Some are still missing, and our thoughts and prayers go with them. Thank you. Anybody that was talking about possibly donating money, please understand that there are a lot of scams out there right now. Make sure that it's with a legitimate charity. I suggest the Salvation Army is always a great one to donate to that make great use of their money. I'd like to welcome you. Please turn off your cell phones. My wife called me just before the meeting and reminded me. So mine won't go off in the middle of the meeting today. We have a lot of issues. We'll try to keep on time. Please also sign in. Email is our primary method of communication. If you have not been receiving our monthly email notices, check your email address on the sign-in sheet, and if it is incorrect, please correct it. If it is correct and you still have not been getting emails, please circle it, and I'll make sure that it gets transferred to the email list. Remember that list is the only list in existence, and none of the information is used or given to anybody else. Those lists are shredded every month. Here we're meeting at the Moose Center. The Moose room is being provided as a public service to us. There are a lot of interesting things that go on here. For this room, restrooms are located to my left, your right, through the door, and then turn right, and you'll see them right there. When asking questions, please wait for the microphones. We're going to have we have two microphones, and we'll have people run up and down in the middle of them. And that basically is so that they get picked up on the recording, because otherwise, we might be able to hear you, but when we go back and look at it, it's blank unless you've used the mic. For the meeting agenda tonight, we'll call to order. We'll have our flag salute and announcements, minutes of the last meeting. Then we'll have a presentation from the Senior Center from Jim Morgan and Home Delivered Meals. I understand that program is a great program, and it's a little bit in need, and maybe we can help him as well. Then a presentation on the CLWA chloride study. Ed Colley, a director at CLWA, will be giving it to us. Next, the sanitation district fee proposal we'll look at and go through some of the numbers, and we have a guest from the sanitation district here, so he can correct me on anything that I say that's wrong, and I hope that he will. We'll have a chat about CCAC bylaws and the board of directors. Then nominations for 2011 officers will be taken by Spence Leafdale. Then our version of public participation that is the first 5 people that sign up for a minute, and then a preview of the next meeting, and then we'll adjourn at 9 o'clock. I had an email sent to me over the month by Rick Drew, and it mentioned this gentleman named Ed Freeman. And it was intriguing to me, so I went and I did a little research about Ed, and I'd like to read you a little portion of his life story. Major Ed W. Freeman passed away on August the 20th, 2008. He was 80 years old, the 6th of 9 children. At age 17, Ed enlisted in the U.S. Navy and served on the USS Capricorn for 2 years. Upon his return, Ed graduated from high school and then enlisted in the U.S. Army. He was a master sergeant in the Army Corps of Engineers, but fought in Korea as an infantryman. He took part in the Battle of Pork Chop Hill and was awarded a battlefield commission, which enabled him to apply to flight school. Ed began flying fixed-wing aircraft and then switched to helicopters. After logging thousands of hours in choppers, he was sent to Vietnam in 1965. He was second in command of a 16-chopper unit. On November the 14th, 1965, Ed's helicopters carried a battalion into the La Durang Valley. Ed and the other pilots received word that the soldiers that they had dropped off were taking heavy casualties. The fighting was so fierce that the medevac helicopters were not picking up the wounded. Freeman then stepped forward. He was joined by his commander, and two of them began flights into the area. The small emergency landing zone was just 100 yards away from the heaviest fighting. Their unarmed and lightly armored helicopter took several hits. In all, Freeman carried out 14 separate rescue missions, bringing in supplies and taking back dozens of wounded, some of whom wouldn't have survived if they hadn't been evacuated. For these actions, Ed was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor on July 16, 2001 by President George W. Bush. Freeman left Vietnam in 1966 and retired from the Army the following year. So for all the men and women in our armed forces around the country, in the past or today or in the future, all those individuals like Ed bring whole new meaning to our Pledge of Allegiance. So Mr. Colley, as a veteran, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For some of the announcements, we circulated this last month. We're going to circulate it again this month. These are the budget process sessions that the city will be going through. As we told you last time, we went to the first one. It wasn't very exciting, and we are going to go to each one. We're going to video them, and we're going to report back to you on how the budgeting process occurs. I think it's interesting. Certainly, we want to get a good understanding of how our money is spent. And if all of these meetings are Brown Acted open meetings, if you care to attend, please do so as well. Like I said, we videoed the first session. It was not very informative, but it's our intent to follow this whole process through this year. Also, for the sanitation district fee increase, you are going to hear more about this tonight. There will be informational meetings at City Hall on March the 23rd, March the 29th, April the 4th. Also, there will be information meetings for the West Ranch Town Council on April the 6th. And if you want to tour the water treatment plant or the water reclamation plant, you can do so on March 19th at, I didn't put the first time, but 11 a.m. and there's two tours. It's on your sheet that you received from the sanitation district. You need to RSVP with them. Then the public hearing will be April the 14th of 2001 at City Hall at 6 p.m. when the board will make the decision on the rate increases. Huh? Oh, that's true. That's true. Absolutely true. You're right. You're right. Oh, well, Spellcheck didn't catch that for me, did it? All right. Also, on the rooming house ordinance, we told you we'd bring you up to date about that. The rooming house enforcement has started. We did ask the city for some information and presentation. They did send us a great deal of information. We don't have time to present it tonight, but we will be presenting it in the future. So they have, in fact, started it. If you have concerns with a particular house around your neighborhood that appears to have too many people living in it, call Mr. Caldera, and he will take care of it for you. High-speed rail. The current proposed high-speed rail route, I think, is very interesting. It was discussed at the last Sand Canyon Homeowners Association, and I had a conversation with Mr. Adamek, who is a project manager on Vista Canyon Ranch. So that route will parallel east of the 14. They intend to tunnel under Four Oaks Ranch, approximately 100 feet underground, and then come up above ground just before where Fair Oaks Ranch would be, and then bridge over the top of Sand Canyon. As you might imagine, there are a lot of people that are not happy with this plan. So Mayor McLean at the last council meeting said that they're still negotiating, and at the last high-speed rail meeting, this part of the route has not yet been approved. Again, a reminder from last month as well, because it hasn't occurred yet. If you're interested in the Santa Clarita CERT training, emergency response team training, it will begin on from April 4th to May 23rd. Please contact City Hall. We'll email this out as an addition to the minutes again this month. The thing that I thought was highly interesting about the last official City Council meeting, not the special one, was the discussion of the Sand Canyon Road Gateway Beautification Project. If you were there, you would have seen them discuss whether or not they should pick the low bidder. It turns out the low bidder was a Santa Clarita business, and the person they selected was an out-of-towner. And there were questions about why that occurred. But in addition, the company selected, or the company that was recommended by the staff, was the Valley Crest Design Group, and it was not the low bidder, but based upon laws governing general law cities, that when you let contracts for consultants for design activities, you need to also consider capabilities as well as cost. So Mr. Polskamp was talking about the fact that this $240,000 planning contract would go to West Crest Design Group. Well, when they voted for action, there was only 4 council people there. McLean and West voted yes. Keller and Ender voted no. The motion was passed because their city attorney, Mr. Montez, claimed that only 2 votes are required because the action was not a resolution. It was very interesting. And there was a little problem with this. It actually took me one search on the internet to find the frequently asked questions about general law cities. And it showed that in order to pass any resolution or any action where the payment of money is involved, requires a majority vote of the total membership of the City Council. And there's the code, 36936. Now, I heard from last night's council meeting that that's been realized, and it will be re-agendized at, I believe, the next council meeting, and they'll be discussing it. We'll see what happens. The Open Space Financial Accountability and Audit Panel meeting occurred Monday night, and we did review the 2009 to 2010 financial data, and it was a little quick to put the information together. You remember that both Spence Leafdale and I are on that panel, and so we'll provide you with a report of how the money was spent and what the projections are over the next 30 years, the remainder of the district life cycle in April. Attendance fell off last month. I think probably people were bored listening to me talk, and so they didn't show up. But we'll see if we can get it a little bit higher this month. Minutes from the last meeting. The meeting was called to order. We had the flag salute. We had announcements on UCLA Bond Drive, Whitaker Burmite Open House, the high-speed rail presentation at the Sand Canyon HOA, Santa Clarita CERT program, the Sheriff's Department and Excel system, and the City of Santa Clarita 2011 and 12 budget meetings. January CCAC meetings were read and approved. As far as what went on, we had a presentation about the library takeover, which I called All Facts, No Fluff. It was a presentation by myself, and it was basically revolved around the information on the revenue and cost as they relate to the City of Santa Clarita operation of our 3 public libraries. Rick Drew presented presented a report on the Whitaker-Burmite Citizens Advisory Group. And then we had presentations on our CCAC board meeting with Marcia McLean. Marcia's agreed to visit a CCAC meeting and talk about her role as mayor, and we're negotiating which meeting that will be. Meeting on community preservation, the rooming house ordinance, what is next for the Extreme Neighborhood Makeover Program, illegal sign abatement and enforcement. And then we had city council cuties where we talked about the campaign size limitations ordinance and how it had changed from 2008 2010. And we gave a thank you to the city for stop signs at Stillmore and Walnut Springs on the safe routes to school for Canyon Springs Elementary School. We were going to have a presentation on the bylaws and board of directors, but due to time constraints, we had a very limited presentation. This was caused by my presentation exceeding the time allotted. I committed to bring a clock to the next meeting to do a better job, and I have. It's sitting there right in front of me, and I'm running over 5 minutes as it is, so we'll continue to see if we can do it done quicker.
That clock keeps time from 2001.
That's right. 2001 time. Yes, that's true. Members who wish to be a part of the bylaw review were asked to sign up, and they would be emailed a copy of the draft document, and they were. And this item was continued to the March meeting. Nominations for 2011 CCAC officers were open. No nominations have been received at this time, and we'll take nominations at the March and April meeting and the election held at the April meeting. In public participation, Berta Gonzalez discussed her concerns about the Board of Directors and bylaw process. We had a preview of the next meeting. We had invited some Mayor McLean and Glo Donnelly to come speak. Obviously, neither one are here this month, but we'll continue to see what we can do, and the meeting was adjourned.